Last week I did a video about visual discrimination, and this week I want to talk a little bit about visual perception. Hey you guys, it's Christina from the Purple Alphabet. If you saw the video last week on visual discrimination, then I gave you a handful of activities that you can do for free, and then a couple that you can use with things that you probably already have around your house. Visual perception is how we see and interpret the information that surrounds us. Now those things are really important to kind of hone in on and work on because they're the basis, the building blocks upon all learning. And so I have some activities that can really refine those and work on those, and they're fun too. I think you'll really enjoy them. The most basic exercise that you can do with this is a maze. So I have this book here. This is from Dollar Tree, but you can print off mazes. You can make your own mazes. I like the School Zone, and they're just really elementary mazes. So look for a maze that is suitable for your child's level. This one is probably a beginner maze, and sometimes they go up to more complicated mazes towards the back of the book. A little bit more difficult, but you can pick one that's best for your child. And just doing a maze in itself is really good in realizing where they can and cannot go for that awareness, okay? So it's a good exercise to have, real simple, real easy. For the more advanced child, you might want to try something a little bit like this, and we're talking about one that has some really good reasoning skills as well. I like to show you guys things that you can do with some variation in your home. If you don't have any of the supplies I'm using, think about how you can do the same type of exercise using what you have. There's no need to go out and buy. I will show you a couple of things that I have purchased, but not particularly for this skill. I'm just going to repurpose them for using these skills. This book comes from Target Dollar Spot, but I'm telling you, you can just use plain old paper and be done with it, okay? So I have my paper here. I'm going to draw a grid. You can use a computer to draw this grid. If you want to be more exact, you can just draw on paper, and I'm going to choose it to be a 4x4 grid, and the more boxes you have, the more complicated it is. And for the next step, you can draw in what I'm going to do, but I'm going to make it a little bit fun and use some stickers because I have my surplus of stickers, as a lot of you know. I have some hot dogs and hamburgers theme going on, and you're looking for multiples of one type, so I got 2 here that will work, 2 ketchups. I'm going to put these on my grid, and it takes a little bit of planning. So basically what we're going to be doing is connecting the stickers using a line and not sharing any boxes with other lines. So only one line per box. And as I'm doing this, I'm actually planning out in my head how the lines are going to work. And this will make more sense when I show you. All right, so the more complicated you want your puzzle to be, the more stickers you'll put on, the more simple, the less stickers. So the idea is to connect everything. Well, I already look at this one and I know there's no other place to connect these but to draw a line. And then I have this one over here. That's real simple. Come down like this. This one's real simple. And then like this. And so it's connecting them through all the boxes. This one over here that I already have done is a little bit more complicated. So as you can see, there are multiple ways that you can reach the other sticker. So it's a matter of planning out where to put your lines. And you might want to use a pencil because you might find yourself erasing to find the line. So this one was pretty straightforward. The pizzas, they could have gone this way. Then I would have had an empty box there. So we needed to make sure we didn't have that empty box. And this one goes this way, and then the pizza could have gone this way, or it could have gone that way, but then I would have had an empty box. So you get the idea? A little bit more advanced skill, so it requires some thinking and planning on that, but it's a really good exercise and kind of fun with the stickers. Next is a grid match. So I have these 10 frames just because I have them, but you can draw them yourself. This set is from Lakeshore Learning. It's got 2 grids in it, which is super helpful, and normally we use them to help for counting. But in our case, we can use them for some of these activities. So I'm going to have a sample grid, which is going to be my top grid, and I am going to place my little chips on here. And to start off, you can make it simple and just use one color and get more complicated with multiple colors. And then your child is to mimic that grid. So your child's going to put one here, and one here. It's recognizing the differences of where they are in the space, okay? And get more complicated, add a different color that way. If you are drawing your own in a book, instead of using these chips, you can use things such as manipulatives like erasers. You can use food like jelly beans. And just draw them on your paper. You could use rocks, little pebbles from outside, so just be creative in what you have. And then you do one, sample one, and then your child will do the next one to match it. There's really endless possibilities on this one. Very basic, very simple. And then you get more complicated. You can add all kinds of different shapes and different manipulatives to make it even harder. All right, I'm pulling out my blank book again, or piece of paper if that's the case that you would like. And we are doing a similar thing to the grid, but we're doing it with dots. So I'm going to divide my paper up in half, and then I'm going to do maybe 3 per row here. Okay, so I've pre-done this grid. Once again, you can do it on a computer if you want to be exact. And your job is to, on this first column, connect the dots. And this is the most basic, most simple thing that you can do. And then your child needs to copy that on this column. So they would draw a line here to be correct and draw a line here. Pretty simple, okay? And then I got more complicated here with doing 2 lines. You can also go diagonal. And then once this becomes so simple and easy, then you can get even more complicated and then add more dots and more lines and more complex pictures. This completely adapts to any level that your child is on. And the more lines and more dots you have, the more complicated and more difficult it is to mimic that. Really, really great on figuring out all of those details on those drawings. You can do the same thing with a Geoboard. Now, a Geoboard is a flat piece of plastic usually that has these little knobs on them. If you can see, they're raised up. My set came from Lakeshore Learning, came with the boards and the rubber bands, but I'm going to put a link down below of what I found on Amazon that's very comparable to this. So if you don't have one of these, you can get them. So basically it's the same thing. You can do this several different ways. You make a item or a picture with your rubber bands for your child to mimic. Start off simple with the same color, and then your child would have to mimic it. I'm using the same board here for demonstrations, but they could have their own board and work off their own. So they would come over here and do the same thing you did. This could also work with 2 children and 2 students if you have that available to you. And you can get more complicated by adding in different colors. You can make it a work in progress as you go along and mimicking what you should do, or you can do a whole board. I mean, possibilities are endless for the skill levels on this one, and I think it's a lot of fun. It also doubles as great fine motor practice. So working that rubber band with your fingers to get them along that grid is excellent for fine motor. So I love it when it's dual purpose like that. Then you can also get some different angles. So really fun way to do the same thing that I did in the book, but with a more manipulative way with your hands, including that fine motor. Back to my book and piece of paper. If this is all you have, a really good thing to do is just draw a line down the middle, and on one side draw half of a picture. In our case, we're going to start off with shapes, and then your child's job is to complete the picture. So they would come in here and finish off the circle or the triangle. If you want to get even harder, you can do it with letters and numbers into where they have to complete the other side. Of course, you have to do some thinking here on how to draw 1/2 of a number. You could fold over your paper and do it that way as a template if you wanted to. You can even do pictures too if you wanted to. And then your child would have to complete the picture on the other side. If drawing is not your forte, I wanted to show you a couple different options you have to create that same effect. I have here some wooden shapes from a different Melissa and Doug game, and this is just very simple. You would just trace half of the picture, and then when you took it off, you'd have half already there. So look around the house to see what you have that you can use to do that same effect, and you might be surprised at all the tools you have. Then you could also use these and have your child match up which one goes to which shape, which is a really great, simple, basic thing for the beginner. And then you can have them trace the other half if you want, or you could just have them up here as an example so they can look to see which shape. You can have them match up and say, which shape is this? Tell me which shape on the side is this shape if I were to complete the picture, and then they could find and experiment which one works. Another thing you can use are some stencils. I have this Melissa and Doug set, and they get pretty complicated as far as what stencils you have, and you can just stencil out one and do the same thing, okay? So look around your house. You might have things that you didn't even know you could use for these activities. For the older child that might be a little bit more advanced, you could do something with a magazine, and I'm looking for symmetrical pictures, which I see right here on the front with this owl. I'm gonna cut him out. So I have an owl head there, a little scary looking, and then I'm gonna cut him in half, right down the center. I'm gonna take 1/2 and I'm gonna glue him to my paper. All right, and then now your child can continue drawing the picture on the other side. I've shown this activity before in a different video. I can't remember what video it was, but it's just a good exercise in symmetry. I think maybe it was a video about symmetry, I don't remember, and learning to complete the picture here. Much harder skill as I'm using a marker here, not a pencil, but you might be surprised at what happens when the child completes the picture. You guys impressed by my drawing? Probably not. But have fun with it and experiment. Really simple pictures that are symmetrical is what you're looking for here. Okay, you guys, now I need your help. I need some video ideas. Let me know what kind of things that you would like to see on my channel down below, and I will go through the list and see if I can add any of them to my list for videos to do for you guys. I know a lot of you guys like the free and fun and cheap stuff, so I'll definitely keep that in mind, but I'm really open to some ideas and interested to hear what you guys think. Make sure to subscribe to see more videos like this and give me a thumbs up to show your love.